Hello there, everybody. Hello. Here we are.
Hello, everybody.
Yes. It's working.
Okay.
It's working.
Yes, our
it's
new
really
system.
Working. All right. Hello, everybody. We got some upgrades going on here, so we're kind of working everything out, trying to see if everything is working. It looks like so far so good.
That's good.
It works. We're live. Yay. Thumbs up for that. Oh, we got all kind of new stuff over here, too. Cool.
Oh, wow.
All right. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but we're learning. How's everybody doing tonight? Come on down.
Yeah.
See people starting to join on. We're figuring out how to do all this. Everything keeps changing in Facebook, and we've got new toys on top of that. So we've got all kind of stuff happening here and new things to look at. I'm going to have to take a picture sometimes, get a camera so we can flip it.
Okay.
You guys can see all the stuff that's going on around here sometimes, but it's kind of interesting, a little home studio.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
That's good.
Kind of moving a little easy today, a little slower, a little more relaxed.
Yes, we need to do that.
Yeah, compared to life as it typically is.
Yes.
So welcome, everybody. See some folks tuning in. Say hello to us. Let us know that you're out there. We want to catch up with you and turn your volume down.
Turn it down.
It works. And have some conversation tonight. So hopefully everybody is doing well and enjoying their Saturday. It was actually a very nice day.
Yes, it was
here
nice.
in Rochester.
Very nice day.
Sunny, kind of warm, not too hot, not too humid.
Yeah, not too bad. I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah,
Yes.
you were outside for a little while today, middle of the day.
Yes, I was.
Felt pretty good?
I was outside for, I think, most of the day.
Felt pretty good out?
Yeah, it did. I got up early and my accountability partner, as you call it.
Yeah, you were up and out early today.
Yes, we were up and out and running early. And
he didn't mind.
No, he didn't.
He's
Went
like,
to an outdoor activity.
Yeah, he
Outdoor event, and it was nice.
Pretty much any time after 7 o'clock, he's good to go.
Oh, yes.
He's raring. Let's
he
hit
makes
it.
sure that he gets his daily run. That makes sure that I get my daily run.
As well, yeah.
Yes, well, when it gets cold, I don't know. I'll be on the treadmill.
Well, when it gets real cold, he turns up his nose.
He won't go out anyway.
I'm not going out there.
Yes, I'll just have to work out on the treadmill.
Rain, snow, he doesn't do all that stuff.
No, he doesn't.
No, he likes sunny. He's kind of a Florida kind of guy.
Yes, right. So. He doesn't want to get his paws wet.
Good evening, Leela. How are you? In Toledo, Ohio.
Hi.
The land of my grandmother. How are you doing? I didn't know you guys were in Toledo. I knew you were somewhere in Ohio, but I didn't know where. But say hello to Wesley as well. Pastor Wesley. Man, we have not talked since you guys started the church. Really, we've had text a couple times, but we got to get together sometime. So welcome to you and all the others that are tuning on. Hello. Glad to have you with us tonight. What are we going to talk about tonight? What's on the docket for conversations?
Wow.
Well, before we start into that, let me just tell you, you can call us, and you can see right now on the screen our number.
Yes.
Fancy.
There now.
Yeah. Call us at 951-799-9032. Did I get the number right?
You can't help but get it right.
Well,
it's right in front of us.
But I wrote it right? That's the right number. Yeah, I think it's
yes,
right.
You
951-799-9032.
Yep.
You can give us a call anytime during the program. If you want to jump on the line with us, you have some thoughts and comments, or of course you can always text it in as well into the comment line, and we'll get with you that way as well. But welcome everybody. So we were gone last week, weren't we?
Yes.
I don't remember why. I think we just needed to be gone.
If
I remember correctly. Oh, wait a minute. I remember why we were gone last week.
Why?
It was the 7th of August.
That's right.
That's why we were gone last week. I forgot. Yes. So we took a break. Had a birthday break last week.
Exactly.
Next week, by the way, we're going to be gone as well. We've got family coming around. And so we'll probably be off the air next week as well. But it's all good because we're here today.
Yes.
And we got to pick up from what we missed last week and then catch up when we come back again. We got this all under control. Every now and then we got to take a break. So let me just say that we want to talk about a little bit about our governor here in New York State. What was that look?
Wow.
Our governor, Andrew Cuomo, soon to be former governor.
Former.
Anthony,
yes.
hello to you. I mean,
Hi,
so
Anthony.
we will, we got to talk about that a little bit. There's some interesting stuff going on with all of that. There's lots of opinions and sides to that story, as there are to many others. A couple other things we're going to talk about tonight as well, including COVID, which continues to rage on and turn back around on us. So we got to deal with that a little bit. And whatever else is on your mind, if you guys have some things you want to talk about, make sure and let us know as well. Feel free to jump on with us, send us a message, and we will get into it tonight. I do want to mention, because I'm still playing with all this stuff, I got all these new toys now. So let me just point you real quick to a couple of new things that I have that I'm all excited about. We've got a lot of stuff have going on, a lot of stuff we've been working on right now. I'll hit the right thing. So this is the YouTube page. Want to make sure that we remind you of that. For if you are not subscribed to our YouTube page, as you can see, we are. Subscribe to it. We want to build up our subscribers. We had somebody every now and people just catch our YouTube page randomly, and I get lots of interesting comments. And someone was asking, "Man, you had some good conversations, some good material in there. It was really impactful to me." So where's all the subscribers at? No. Hey, where's all the subscribers at?
Yeah,
so you guys got to help us out.
We have to start getting people.
Yeah, we got to start advertising this.
We have to advertise more and start sending out invites.
Yeah, so this...
I haven't done that yet.
Well, you've got to do that.
Yes, I haven't done that. I got all kinds of friends.
We got to make them check out the page.
Lots of friends.
Because there's all kind of stuff here.
Of
I mean, there's a lot. We have our favorites up here, but, you can go into the videos, and for not quite a year now, we have been loading it up. So there's all kind of topics up here of things and people we've talked about. We're going to be getting back into more guests, by the way, going forward.
Yes.
But, we've had all kinds of topics with all kind of people, all kind of subjects, and they're all up here for your enjoyment. So, when you're sitting at home and you don't want to watch television, you can jump on here and there's all kind of things. So make sure you subscribe to that. If you subscribe, then every time we upload something new, you'll get that information.
You'll get the notification.
Yeah, you'll get a notification that says, hey, a new thing is available for you to come and check out. The other thing that I did this week, I'm all excited about, is on our church page, Destiny Preparation Church. Took me a while, but I finally figured out how to make series of all of the different teaching series that we've done.
Okay.
So if you go to the church page under More to Videos, go to the video page, and you will see on the video page a host of different things. This is what's happening live. That's why this is showing up here. But the latest videos, and now we have these series. Keys to Your Future Success, the series I'm doing right now, 7-part series and continuing, right? End Time Prophecy. Many people ask me questions about this. This whole series from End Time Prophecy is here in order of all the different things that we taught on that. The Holy Spirit. There's a series on the book of Romans, which is also a really, really good and important series. So all these things now are available on the website. You no longer have to scroll all the way through the Facebook page. By the way, I said website, but Facebook page to find them. There is lots of supporting and helpful things available for you. So make sure that you check that out and use it. It's there for you. So it goes back several years worth of teaching and learning and studying and sharing. I believe that you will appreciate what you get off of that. So make sure you go there. All right. So let's talk about our governor. Why don't we? Those of us that are here in New York State and really throughout the country are aware at this point that this week, while we took our week off, the governor resigned.
Yes.
And it's been a lead on up of a huge amount of things that have been going on in and around this topic really for almost the entire year.
Yes.
And what you talk about rise and fall. I mean, because Governor Cuomo last year was perhaps the best known and strongest positioned governor in the entire country.
Yes.
Between him and the governor in California, they really led the way in terms of response to coronavirus.
Yes. And wearing the mask.
All the different things associated with trying to protect people. And in both of their situations, there was a lot of pro and con, people for and people against. And there has been with this whole thing. You know, people who say we got to do what we got to do to protect, and others that say no, we have our rights and we should be able to do what we want to do. And so there's been this battle going on, and Governor Cuomo perhaps more than any other, really took the stance of taking control. I
Yes, he
remember,
did. He was very vocal.
oh, absolutely vocal.
Very, very vocal.
You know,
Yes.
so it started out with, back in March or so. I remember when the local governments were just ramping up. When we had our first case here in Rochester, and the city and then the county were starting to do some stuff, and there was almost battle going over whose rules were going to rule. And then all of a sudden, Governor Cuomo steps in. He's like, excuse me, this is a state issue.
Yes.
So I will be making the rules here,
Yes,
and
in
you
this
guys
state.
will be following.
In
That's the
this
way it's
state,
going to
right,
work, right?
right.
And, they had a battle, of course, like you said,
And
this
some
state,
states did follow.
right? Well, like I said, California did a
Yes,
similar thing.
they did
and
similar.
others, those were California, New York, and Washington were the first states to really experience coronavirus.
Right.
And from there, it spread and moved.
Right. They were impacted.
Right.
Very
but then you had this
badly.
thing with the president at the time,
Exactly.
who was claiming that he was in charge. And then you had, the governors that were saying, "Wait a minute, this isn't a state issue. You don't have precedence here.
Right.
We got this, right?"
Right.
So finally, he had to back off. Okay, fine, do what you're going to do. Do it on your own, then. And don't put me
well,
in.
you know what? Cuomo had to take charge
Mm-hmm.
because people were dying of coronavirus in New York City, and they were like storing them in refrigerators and,
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
and
crazy.
great big trucks, and
Yeah, it
people
was-
were dead inside of their apartments.
It was-
so he had to do something.
It was really bizarre.
He
what
had
was
to take
happening.
over. It was bizarre.
But the point is, it could have been, is it the city that's in control, or was it the governor? And the governor at this point said, "Look, it's a state precedence. We're taking control." And so he took a very hardline control position.
Yes.
He got special powers that were given to him by the legislature,
Yes.
to be able to make decisions and really do some things and be in control
Yeah.
of a lot of stuff. And he kind of did it with a really big stick.
Yeah.
And so some people were like, "Oh, thank goodness, somebody's taking control of this." And other people were like, "Wait a minute, he thinks he's too much. He's got too much power." And, people were kind of quiet for a while. And then as we got in the latter part of the year, they're like, "Okay, look, he has all this power. He needs to give some of this back." And then as we got to the end of the year, there started, in the beginning of this year especially, all this stuff started coming out. Different things. First of all, the nursing home count.
Yes.
And were there more deaths associated with the nursing homes than what it says. So these started down that questionable line, and they wanted to have, and so let's see, people who felt he had too much power started trying to leverage that. And
Right.
then you start getting into this situation of people that were claiming physical abuse from him. Accusers, the first that came out, and then 11 total
Right.
that came out to against, saying that he had done some kind of inappropriate behavior towards
Yeah.
him. And so as this starts rising up, and as often happens in cases like this, one says something, then another says something, then another says something,
It just
and then you end up
snowballs.
exactly
It
in a
snowballs.
snowball situation.
Yes.
So, ultimately the pressure's on, and they take it on. Okay, the state attorney general is going to do an investigation. Cuomo refuses to step aside just because of accusations.
Yes,
So just kind of
he
give him some
did
backup
in the beginning.
background here, and then we'll talk about what
Yeah.
all this means. He refused to step down. He said, no, let us play out, and let them do the investigation. Everybody agreed to do that. The investigation went on and just ended a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And it ended, in such an abrupt way, to say that according to our investigation from his own state attorney general, yes, he has indeed somehow abused 11 women, at least that they had count of.
Yeah. Someone's asking a question too.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Yes.
We're working our way to that.
Okay.
Right? We're gonna get there, because this is what it leads to. 11 accusers, and the attorney general validates that 11 of them. We don't know if there are more than 11, but 11 were validated as saying, "Yep, he abused in some kind of way. He was inappropriate with these 11 people," ranging from all the way from inappropriate statements and things like that to actual physical touching, unwanted touching. So now you're kind of sitting there quietly, and I know you got a lot of thoughts about this. So what are your thoughts? I mean, so I have a perspective of it, but I'm also a man. You have a perspective of it. What do you think about this before we get into, his resignation? All these accusations kind of piling up like this. You think it's real? Do you think it's made up? Do you think it's pile on? What are your thoughts?
Um, I don't really think that it is made up.
Mm-hmm.
If he was doing it intentionally, or if it was, he's Italian,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's what they do culturally,
Right.
or, I haven't heard anyone say that he actually forced any real intimacy.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
I haven't heard anyone
That's
say
correct.
that he's forced sex on
Right.
them at all.
Right.
Touching,
Mm-hmm.
I think right now in this culture,
Mm-hmm.
we have to be very careful
Mm-hmm.
in how we approach one another.
Mm-hmm.
Men have to be careful on how they communicate with women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's hard to, right now, it's not a good time. Like, it's not a good time to be a cop.
Yeah.
It's not a good time to
Not
be
a
a
good time to
man.
be a
There's
cop.
so many rules and regulations, and allegations that can be made very easily.
Right.
Once an allegation is made, that person, we'll say the man, because we're dealing with men right now, but anytime an allegation is made against someone, that person is put in the position where they have to defend themselves.
Right.
And nobody really wants to be in that position.
Yeah.
But once those allegations are made, then it opens the door, or it opens the window for other women to come in and say, yes, he did look at me funny. He looked at my breasts. He rubbed me on my back.
Y'all see this, right?
Yeah, I can
just
do
saying.
that.
I'm just
But
saying.
no, I'm just saying.
I got
I'm
witnesses.
just saying. You see how I'm just doing this to you, and I'm
Right.
doing that?
Yeah.
You can make an allegation.
So I mean,
So
his-
he obviously also, let's think about the era
right.
of which he came up in.
Right. That's where I was headed.
Okay.
Because he's saying from his roots,
Yes.
it's a customary thing
Customary.
to be very touchy-feely, friendly, huggy,
Can't do that
kiss
now.
on the cheeks. And I think I can't remember how old he is.
I
I think he's in his 70s. I don't know. I don't remember. I know at his age, he's coming from a generation, and this is his argument,
Yes.
where this was normal, right? To touch people, to put your hand on them. And, we've talked
63.
about 63. Okay. We've talked about how, in former generations, et cetera, the political thing of kissing babies and hugging people.
Yes.
That was a norm. That was not unusual. And it wasn't that long ago,
Right.
where that kind of connotation was there. I mean, you can
but
go
it was
back.
okay.
Yeah, you can go back
Then.
within the past couple of presidents, and it was very normal, to hug people, to things like that. And so
It
his
was also
argument,
personable.
right?
Yes, for a president to be seen holding a baby and kissing a baby.
Well, you know what? If you really go back to where that started,
Yes.
it started largely when television became a medium.
Okay.
Because, if you go all the way back in history, you'll find the election between John F. Kennedy Jr. And Richard Nixon. One of the biggest issue that came up there was how much more personable and how much more, how relatable
Right.
John F. Kennedy was, right? And they said that had a huge amount to do with why people were drawn to him. So the aspect of being personable really grew or expanded in the
Right.
time of television from that time forward. So no longer where you have to be intelligent or smart or reach a certain class of people who were primary ones that were led in the politics. You had to make yourself relatable
Yes.
to the average person. And so that concept of being relatable and hugging and kissing and all that stuff, kissing babies and being friendly,
Right.
from that point forward began to really expand. And so yes, it was part of politics to be that kind of, person and personality. Even
Right.
Donald Trump, expressed himself in terms of, friendliness and touching people. So now this is Cuomo's argument.
Yes.
But before we
Exactly.
shift all the way to that side of it, the counter of what's being said, thank you, Anthony, 63. The counter of what was being said was that he was taking it way past that.
Yeah.
And he was doing it in work circles,
Right.
not just out when he was, he was doing it as well when he was out
Right.
doing politics. Because one of the women actually is from this area. When we had the flooding that was happening up on the coast, one of the women said that he came to the house, and he was being all comforting and supportive. And next thing you know, he was like, on her and close on her and kissing her on the cheek and stuff. And so, there was all kind of things that were going on there. Oh, looks like we lost our signal. Hope it comes back. New technology. All right, so they were looking for, here's coming back. So they were looking for all kind of things. He was behaving in such a way that, that woman was uncomfortable. And I don't know if she was one of the actual 11, but she was certainly one that said, hey, he was taking it a little too far. So he's saying, yeah, this is what I do. This is my family. This is the way I've raised up. These people were saying, a lot of these women were saying, look, you were doing more than just being friendly.
Right.
Right. And all the way to the extreme of the primary one that accused him literally said that, first of all, they accused him of things happening in private in the governor's mansion. There were at least two. Ooh. Right? In the governor's mansion. Some of the things they were saying were very much flirtatious, if not awkwardly flirtatious, right? Asking them all kind of things about, for example, their sex preferences or sex life type stuff, one-on-one at the governor's mansion.
Wow.
Now that's kind of awkward, right? And the one said that he actually, he would go in to kiss her on the cheek, and he did that normally. And this last time, instead of going for the cheek, he went quick and kissed her on the lips, right? And specifically,
I didn't hear that one.
And specifically said that at one point he hugged her and took his hand and went under her blouse and actually cupped her breast. Now this is way down the extreme road. This is not we family, right? This is us being Italians. I hope Italian. I don't know about y'all Italians. I don't know if y'all like that or not, but with everybody,
that's not.
But that sounds a little bit excessive to me.
That's
right?
excessive. So it doesn't matter what culture you come from. That's not acceptable.
Out of line, right?
It's out of line,
right?
I would say.
So I mean, and he has stayed and said I didn't do anything inappropriate. Right? In his mind, whatever he's justified it or however he's come across it. So there's a real argument here that he went from just being friendly and approachable to really crossing the line. And the problem here is there is at least some consistency. There's a number of people and consistency amongst the stories. This is, I think, what really makes this a problem. Because, it's not just like one person accused him and everybody else said, no, that's never happened to me. It's and not to, what do you do if it's one person? Do you just assume that that's wrong? Because it could still be true. But when you have a whole series of people that are lining up to say, and like you said, one person says, hey, this happened to me. And others start saying, yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but it happened to me too. Or, this happened to me. That can happen.
It can.
Right?
So here's what concerns me is why wait until now?
Well,
why is this coming out now?
Well,
I mean, if it happened and it has been happening consistently, why are they coming public now?
But that's a common question in these kind of circumstances, but it's also common for people to not necessarily come forward these kind of things.
This is very true.
Away. I mean, think about all the child abuse victims that hold on to things for years.
This is true.
Before coming out to say.
Very true. But I also think that it is ironic that it would happen, that they would come forth now.
Well, why do you
during the
think?
time.
Why do
I
you
mean,
think?
there's all there's people are saying all kinds of things right now.
But why?
Some people are saying that it's a smear campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just repeating what or saying what is out here right now.
Right.
They're saying it's a smear campaign.
Yeah.
If he had become impeached, which they have, they're not going to impeach him now.
Right.
If he were to be impeached, he could not have ran for political office
Well, at
or
least
for
not for
presidency,
governor.
not for governor.
Does it affect presidency? I don't know.
I'm not.
Certainly not for governor.
Not for governor.
Do you think he will? He will even now. Do you think he'll run for governor again?
I really don't know. I mean, I can't say, but I really think that right now it's going to stop his. They're going to put a stop on his political career.
Well,
It really did smear him. It shuts it down.
Down political career.
It shuts it down.
Whatever
So that's why
aspirations
I'm
he
saying,
had of being
right.
president is shut down.
It's shut down.
It's not coming.
So
up.
that
And
is.
he's not the first one for that to happen.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying, why now?
Well, why do you think the accusations against Donald Trump didn't come out until he was running for president?
Because, of course, obviously there are people that didn't want him running for presidency. There were people that were against him.
Yeah.
And so this is what they do.
Yeah, but there's
they
also,
say
even
all is fair in love and politics.
Yeah,
and
but
war in politics.
above and beyond that. For
Yes.
example, in the case of Donald Trump,
Yeah.
right? Somebody's saying this is the kind of guy
Yeah.
that's running for president.
Right.
And, it was okay as long as he was a business guy, whatever.
Right.
But this guy's going to run our country. People ought to
Right.
know what kind of guy this is. I think that's had a lot to do with the timing association
Right.
with those accusations. But in this particular case, he was actually already governor. Now, on the one hand, in terms of plots against him, he was a very strong, and some people thought a way too strong governor.
Yeah.
And they were starting to pick up on things that weren't right in terms of, like I said, this count surrounding how many people that seemed to be adjusted in terms of how many people, that were in nursing homes died. That number seemed to be absolutely deflated. Now, things can happen. Look, I understand. In
That's what
terms of
happened
how
to
you approach these things can happen in terms of, okay, these got calculated differently. But then this thing came out of, in the midst of COVID and vaccinations, how somehow his family members that were not even in any central part of the state, he sent people from Albany to where his brother was and others were to get them vaccinated while other people were not allowed to be vaccinated yet. Now that's something that somebody scooped up. That's inappropriate. It may not be impeachable,
Trump did.
but it's inappropriate to do something like that.
Yeah.
But when you're a strong governor, hey,
Right. When
then you kind of get away with stuff,
Well,
right?
also when you are a public figure.
Right. I want to say we got a call around. We'll get to you in just a second.
Okay.
But when you're a public figure, go ahead.
When you're a public figure, you are under scrutiny. When you are up front,
Right.
when you are a leader, you are under scrutiny, a lot of scrutiny.
Well, definitely. And like I said, when you are in strong control,
Yes.
you can get away with doing a lot of things that you can't get away with doing if you're vulnerable or if you don't have the same kind of power. And politics is a lot about power. And so, as the power shifted on him, then it opened the door for a lot of this stuff for his enemies to pull it out against him.
Right.
Whether, these things from these ladies is that or not, I mean, that's one of the questions. I want to make sure Anthony can hear us. Anthony, how you doing? You there? Can you hear us?
I'm well, sir.
There you are. How you doing, man?
I'm well. I'm still on both.
See, this is what happens. We get people so wound up eventually that they just got to call in.
They got to call and say something.
Yeah, I was trying
That's
to
what
take
we
it
want.
easy tonight. I'm like, man, y'all, listen, you guys are hitting nails on the head.
Okay.
So what people think and how they're trying to process it. So, yeah.
So what's on your mind? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think a lot of people were thinking about exactly all of the perspectives, you and First Lady put out, and a lot of times that comes out, like, why did they wait so long?
Right.
If this was happening to them, why didn't they say something and there's a whole lot of reasons behind that, right? But
Right.
you know, I have a I don't want to say it's a unique perspective, but I looked at the whole thing, right, and I saw how Governor Cuomo handled it, and he owned it, right? He was
Right.
like, you know what? I don't feel like I really did anything wrong, but you know, if someone perceived it like that, then I must have been wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he thought about his daughters, and you know, it seems like he didn't want to be that guy.
Right.
And so, from a really good standpoint, I think his message and what he did was right,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of politicians won't own their actions, right? And then say, hey, you know what? It's bigger than me. If I really love my constituents and who I represent, then, you know, it may be the best thing for me to step aside.
Right. So you think he did the right
You
thing
know,
in resigning?
I think he did.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did. And I appreciate the fact that he said, look, hey, it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I understand, like, some people, even if they're saying, hey, I didn't do that.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's going to be a distraction to the work that needs to be done, then guess what I will do? I will remove myself, because it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
Right.
And to go there, I'm going to go there. You know, as it relates to our local leadership,
Uh-huh.
when that situation came up, you know, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting the mayor to say, you know what?
Talking about Mary Warren here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to say names because I don't, you know, but yeah.
Hey man,
but
it is what it is.
I was like, she should have did what Cuomo did.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, because sometimes as a leader, that's the best way to unify your community.
Well, do you
know
really?
what I mean?
You think?
It's one thing to stick to your guns, but it's another thing where if there is overwhelming, I guess, appearance, right? Overwhelming appearance that, you know, hey, there is some wrongdoing here, or is there's some, you know, lack of knowing what's going on, right? So locally here in Rochester, like, how can you manage a city if you don't know what's going on in your house? You know what I mean? So I brought that out to give some different perspective. I think I think a couple of things. I think Cuomo may be an old school, fresh man who really doesn't mean anything by it.
Right.
But at the same time, that can be very offensive and very intimidating to individuals.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Right?
that's part of the message
they don't
right
know
now.
if I speak up, what's going to happen to me? You know, what's going to happen to my career if I speak up? You
But
know?
you know, I think that's part of the message right now is that, you know, that old school mentality, that old school behavior is just not acceptable anymore.
Right.
So I think in his retirement speech, he kind of alluded to it rather well, where he said, you know, I didn't realize how much the line had moved, right? Because he was behaving in the way he's always behaved. And, you know, we deal with this a lot. We've dealt with this at work. We've dealt with this, you know, in the community, where people feel that just because they behaved a certain way for all of their lives, that that's okay. Right.
Not.
And so part of the statement here is to say, look, you know, this is not tolerable anymore. It may have been normal and okay for you, but, you know, this just doesn't work anymore. This doesn't fly anymore. And so, unfortunately, he becomes kind of a scapegoat to that whole concept because it becomes somewhat extreme. You know, in his case, from what's been described, it's, like I said, more than just somebody putting their hands on your shoulder or on your back, you know. I mean, at the time, look, he was single and apparently ready to mingle. But, you know, the way he was trying to pick up chicks, in the, you know, the governor's mansion just wasn't flying. And everybody was frankly too scared
to say
anything until somebody says something, and everybody else says, "Hey, you know what? He was doing that to me too."
Well, you know what? Also,
Yeah.
a person in authority
Yep.
in the workplace should never make a subordinate
Yep.
feel uncomfortable
Yep.
in any kind of way.
That's real
That's the
important
rule.
because you are in a position of power.
That's right.
And so you can't just assume that because they didn't say anything or
Right.
didn't or accepted you what you did, that it was okay with them. When
Right.
you're in a position of power, that shifts things. So like they're
Yes.
showing that picture of the one young lady who's got her arms around him in a picture, and he's like, "Look, this is proof there wasn't nothing going on."
But
you
that
can't
shouldn't
you
even-
can't do that because
shouldn't even have
you know,
happened.
right? But you can't say that just because someone tolerated and even responded to you when you were doing certain things with them, that it's even, because they're afraid of losing their job.
Exactly.
That's true.
That's
true.
So,
I want to ask a question. So then we think about that, and how long has he been the governor of New York?
going on 11 years.
11 years, right? So I would think I think we could all agree he's probably been this way the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now,
but even more so, as time goes on. I'll say, but even more so.
Who was his handlers that were allowing that?
Yeah.
For all these years, and now why is it different? So it doesn't justify his actions, but it definitely begs for us to question
Right.
a person who gets in that place in the first place.
Look,
what is happening that allows that to go on?
Right.
Look, there have been a lot of handlers out there over the years. Let's talk about Bill Clinton's handlers. Right? They were supposed, what they do in handling is keep it out of the public view. That's how they handle it, and so because
we know that.
he was more than likely doing, talking now about Cuomo again, he was probably doing many things from the beginning and start out innocent. And as I recall, I can't remember whether he was married when he
I don't think he started out innocent. I think if it's coming out now, I think he was like that from day one. But he had impeccable handlers.
Yeah.
And possibly the only reason this is coming out now is because he disappointed one of his handlers.
Well,
so they allowed it to come out because they kept it blocked all this time, right?
Yeah, but
I heard these voices.
I think part of it may have changed though, because remember he had a serious girlfriend up until about 2 years ago. And I can't remember whether he was married 12 years ago or not, but he did have a serious girlfriend for the past X number of years up until about 2 years ago when they broke up. And so again, my thinking is now he's single, right? And he's looking for somebody, right? And so he's looking at women around him where he works, and he's putting this stuff out there, right? In a very clumsy, inappropriate way.
It never should have happened at work.
No, it shouldn't have happened at work.
Never have happened at work.
So I'm saying it's possible that he was less aggressive previously because he was in a relationship.
Yeah.
And it might have changed when he got out of that relationship.
Oh, I didn't think about that yet.
So either way, these things happen, and it's not like nobody knew any of this stuff was going on. It's just like you said, they're handlers. They know how to keep stuff out of the press for an extended period of time until, in this case, this woman decides, hey, I'm going past all that, all the threats, whatever. And because they have accusations right now against some of the people in his administration for threatening people on coming out. Talk about handlers, right? So they're coming after some of them as well, because obviously they were trying to keep this out of the public view until somebody stood up and said, look, I'm not going to be quiet anymore. And that one opened the gate for the others to begin to follow after that and feel more confident. So, just to put it back in perspective, I think that he was probably in general somewhat over touchy-feely. Some of the stuff he said was inappropriate. And for the most part, my guess would be it didn't extremely cross the line, but probably sometimes it did. And, and I'm not justifying it. I'm saying that there legitimately was a problem there that had been tolerated, like it has been tolerated with powerful, wealthy men for years and
Forever.
decades and however long you want to talk. It's just, when stuff like this comes out, then hey, and yes, it does tend to pop at times when the opportunity is more open for that to happen.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, like, I'm not diminishing what these women felt, right? And the disrespect. But, I mean, the political aspect of it, right? Because now we look at we know that two people, right? Critical him as the lieutenant governor. Hochul, she has aspirations, right? And
does she?
James has aspirations. So the timing of this is impeccable.
Right.
Listen, man, it cracks me up looking at, Hochul, Lieutenant Governor Hochul's from this area. She was a congresswoman here, but, her speech after he resigned was like, yeah, we weren't really that close. I'm nothing like him.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm tripping
all the way. And I'm like, why did you work? Why did you continue to work for this man?
This is the guy.
And then why didn't you expose him if you knew he was a grimy dude?
She's like, I didn't know anything about all that. I didn't know anything about the complaints. She totally segregated herself from him and all this stuff and said, I'm going to be different. I'm going to be inclusive. Anybody from his group that was involved, they're out. I'm cleaning house. Absolutely, she's aspiring. She's already saying she's running.
She reached out to Al Sharpton immediately. I don't know if you guys knew that.
No. But she's already, she already said that she's running.
Put a statement out.
Now, there hasn't been a governor from Western New York in about 100 years. Right, the Western New York does not have the political strength, the vote count, to push someone into a governor position. They always come from the southern tier of the state because that's where the majority of the people are. So for her to actually win next year as governor is pretty unlikely, frankly. She has this position, but you can guarantee them be lining up. And they're going to be coming like sharks after her, too. So she's trying to push it out there. But
I mean, remember, I said it here first on your podcast. It's going to be Hochul versus Letitia James.
Letitia James. Okay. That's interesting.
Those are the only two that have skin in the game, and the investigation makes sense.
There's going to be, I guarantee you there's going to be some people coming up from the southern New York side of things, from the city. So. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're going to be jumping in the race, too. So, Letitia's in a good position.
All they can do is throw money at it, but...
Letitia's in a good
New York
position.
as a whole typically doesn't vote for the money guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to watch, as always, But you can definitely assume that there's some people... I want to see Giuliani jump in the race. That's what I want to see.
What?
That would really be...
All right. I'm hanging up.
Look, it'll be entertaining. I want some entertainment out of it. All right, Anthony. Thanks for calling, man.
Hey, I appreciate you guys taking the call. I love you guys.
I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Thanks for calling. Yeah, so next year's election is going to be a whole nother entertainment scene.
Exactly.
And it's an off-year election, which makes it great. So, it's off from there's no presidential election. It's elections. Well, next year will be all, senators and stuff like that. But it will be a focused race going into next year. So that will be, you can guarantee before this year is over, there's going to be a lot of names that are already lining up now to jump into it. So, kind of closing off on Cuomo, one thing I was going to say to Anthony, he said that it was good that he resigned, but you really think he had any option?
Not really.
I mean, the pressure was on. It was closing in on him. It's really like you're either going to be, they were telling him, you're either going to get impeached.
Right. Even the president.
Resign. Right. Even the president.
Biden was like,
So the assembly had made it very clear that we're going to impeach you. We have the votes. We're going to go through this process. But unless you got something amazing to say, we're going to impeach you.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he really had an option in terms of of resigning because it was one or the other, and you don't want to be you don't want that stamp on your legacy. The one thing that that really is disappointing is, in truth, a lot of people will say otherwise, but Cuomo did a lot for the state over the past 10 years.
And I'm going to say I'm a bit disappointed.
The state was in the red
Yeah.
when he first came into
Yeah.
office. There's a lot of things he did I didn't like. I'm sure everybody will say that. But, even his navigation over the past year through coronavirus, a lot of people that were anti what he did and how he handled it. But he handled it. He took the state and really handled it and took control and, at least put some things on the line. Now, speaking again as a business person, I know there's other businesses out there. Some of the stuff that happened, you don't like to see happen as a business. It's frustrating. It was painful. It was costly to a lot of people what we went through over the past year. Some of them, fortunately, are making that back now because things have rebounded. So in terms of many businesses, some businesses are out of business. Not necessarily the fault of the governor. And did we save lives as a result of the things that happened? I would have to say we did.
Yes.
Especially at the time we were in the situation we were in.
Yes.
And this being the first place to really get hit by this virus as serious as it was, talking about New York State.
Right.
So overall, my feeling is that he added a lot and did a lot to protect his people on his watch.
Yes, I agree with
And so
that.
I hate to
Yes.
see all of that legacy,
Yes.
destroyed like this.
Right.
It's a sad closing, a sad ending to someone who did a lot and sacrificed a
done so
lot.
much, right.
And I can't even imagine the hours that he put in last year.
A lot.
Because he was on
He was on-
in everything every day for at
Yes,
least the
on the
first
press.
60, 90 days or something
Yes,
like that.
he was.
That's crazy. So I don't envy the position, and I do respect at least what he was able to achieve, versus all these things that are a sad closing to that. So,
Yes.
I guess, to wind us up, because the time is winding up here, we should actually talk about, speaking of coronavirus, there's a lot of stuff that has been going on in terms of coronavirus, and it still, unfortunately, is not getting better. It inherently continues, to get worse. So when we look at the stats of what's going on right now, this is in the United States, and you can see the rise again in confirmed cases is going up and up and up. 150,000 cases is, we haven't been there in a long time. Unfortunately, this map only goes back about 5 months, but this is the high. We had about 200,000+ cases going on a day back at the beginning of the year when it was really bad. You can see we're almost back there again.
Yep, I can
across
see
the
that.
country.
Yes.
And in New York State, not the worst of places, but definitely increasing. It looks like it's settling down, but honestly, in our local area, it's not. In our area, it's actually accelerating quite a bit. So there are some problems. The good news is, if you look compared to what's happening elsewhere, this is a cool map that shows the whole country. And you can see on this map the concentration of cases. This is from Johns Hopkins, which is where you go to get any up-to-date information. Everybody's getting their information feeds from Johns Hopkins. So you can see where the colors are lighter, there's less cases happening. Where the colors are darker, that's where the heaviest assault is. And you can see the areas that are impacted mostly. This region right here through the center of the country, the southern aspect of the country up here to the Midwest and then the Southwest is where these heavy areas of concentration are mainly at. And by the way, also in Alaska. But, so it's interesting, where we are here, it's a little bit lighter, but you can't quite see it unless I blow it up. But our little county here is orange compared to the lighter areas around us. So Monroe County, as I said, is getting a little bit more intense. You can see, I might as well go up. We'll just expand it up for a minute. And you can see in our state, Rochester, mid part of New York that's closer to Syracuse. Thank God your mom's here. These areas are a little bit more intense down here in New York State. Look on Long Island, hotbed.
Yep.
Right. So these things are, this is still going on. And so for people who are not vaccinated, there's a huge risk. A huge risk to all of us, right? Vaccinated or non-vaccinated, because they're saying also now that with this Delta variant that, it goes, you can spread it even with the vaccine. But, without it, I mean, if we're concerned with it, I don't understand why
Right.
people are so, resistant to do it without it.
Right.
Because it, frankly, is so dangerous. And we all know now it's more than just a cold. It's more than just the flu. It's a highly dangerous thing,
Highly
that people are
contagious.
going and, are dealing with. So, my question now is, how about that third shot? How many people are ready to get a third shot at this point?
Booster?
Yeah, that booster shot, right? Right now, only about 60% of the country, of the country has had one dose, right? About 51% is fully vaccinated of the total country. Now,
51.
out of the adult, 51. Out of the adults, it's about 70%. But out of the total population, it's only about 51. Because remember, kids 12 and under can't even be vaccinated yet.
Right. Which is another issue.
Right. Going
The
back to
children,
school.
the children are getting coronavirus, and they need to be vaccinated.
And it's time to go back to school. And, we were nervous last year.
Yeah.
There are schools already that are quarantined and shut
Texas?
down in the southern parts
Yes,
of the
in the
country.
southern parts.
There was one, I think in Florida, 1 week in school and the whole school shut down because there were cases all over. There was one woman who has been accused of allowing her child to go to school knowing that he had coronavirus. And a bunch of other people got infected and everybody had to quarantine. It's a mess. This is such a mess.
A mess.
How people are responding and behaving under this circumstance. It's, number one, it says a lot about us. It really does. I hate to say it, but it really just says a lot about us overall in terms of our mindset and where we are.
Mindset and the how inconsiderate people can be. How selfish can people be? I mean, this is really putting the icing on the cake.
It's hard
It's exposing a lot.
It's hard
about
to
human
understand,
nature.
right? Because people are literally dying. I mean, this is serious stuff. People are dying across the country because of this. This is not like, it's not like somebody's just going to get the cold or the flu. The death rates are rising again.
Yes, they are.
And they're all over the place. And now they're actually in a younger crew.
The younger children, yes.
Because we vaccinated most of the old
Adults,
folks, right?
right.
The people that are most vulnerable, we vaccinated 80s and up, even the 60s and up. And now it's mostly 35 and under that are getting sick and going to the hospital. And they're filling the hospitals now. It used to be the older ones. Now the younger ones are filling the hospitals all the way up to babies and children. Children's hospitals are full of children.
Exactly. And I understand that it's people that are dying or people that are not vaccinated, that
Now-
have not taken it.
Now, someone's saying here, I don't take flu vaccine. Last time I did, I was very sick. There are people who cannot take the vaccine.
Yes.
Right? There are people dying from the
Yes.
vaccine, but it's like 1% of the total.
Right.
So, yes, there are people that have all kind of issues going on, and yes, there are people that die,
But
it's
it's
1% of the total people who are dying from this coronavirus.
Exactly.
So you can't use that excuse. But there are people that cannot take the vaccine for
Right.
various reasons. That's totally understood. That then, nobody should force you to do that. You should have a medical reason or whatever the case may be not to do it. But if that's the case, then you need to be taking more precautions to protect everybody else
Right.
from your risks.
Right.
And vice versa.
And to protect
right?
yourself.
If you make the choice not to take the vaccine,
Right.
okay, that's your choice. But then you have to be sensitive about everybody else, and this vaccine flowing around. You can't say, I'm not going to take it, and I'm not going to mask, and I'm not going to, separate,
Right.
and I'm hanging around with everybody around me.
Right.
That is irresponsible.
That's irresponsible
So
and inconsiderate.
Right. So if you choose not to take the vaccine for whatever your reasons are, it is your choice. And that is your choice.
Quarantine yourself.
However-
so that you're safe.
However, what we did say from the beginning until now is that there was going to be an advancement in this policy over the course of time. That it started out, hey, we're going to make it available. We're going to get the stuff out there and everybody, it's available to you, come and get it. Right? And they did that to start, and they got maybe 40% of the people, 50% of the adults that took it. They said, okay, it's slowing down. So they went from available to incentives. We're going to start paying you to take the virus. We're going to give you
mean to take
money.
the vaccine.
The vaccine. We're going to put a
Yes.
lotto on. You can win $1 million. Just take the vaccine. So then they tried to incentivize, and that went so far. Then they said, okay, everybody, we got enough people vaccinated. Take off your mask. You can live your life normally again if you just take the vaccine.
Just take the
So another
vaccine.
incentive.
Yes.
That didn't work. So then they said, okay, well, we're going to have to start having some restrictions here. If you don't take it, then you're not going to be able to do this or go to this place or blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. So then now, and it's heading towards, as you are concerned about, our commenter here, they're heading towards forcing you to take it. And I understand your concern about that, not being forced, but they are headed that way. They're starting with, okay, your job. He said I might call back in. Starting with, our time is up. I think our time is up too. But starting with your jobs,
That's
jobs,
right, your paycheck.
And I can speak to that, because I had to investigate that, right? For our jobs. Our people voluntarily took it. All of our people, in essence, have decided, not all at once, but over the course of a month or two, they decided to take it for them and their families. All personal decisions. We didn't force anybody to. But there are businesses, and there are some cases where, when you're working in areas that are very close or in medical facilities, there probably is some justification to say, look, we need our folks in this environment to be vaccinated. And so there are businesses that are now and are going to continue to start forcing people, and they're going to get to the condition. Right now, they're like, and just like with the government, you cannot take it, but if you don't take it, then you're going to have to be you're going to be punished some kind of way. You're going to have to be tested once a week.
How you going to eat? Because you won't be getting checked.
Well, it starts like that.
You're going to be being paid.
You don't have to take it, but if you don't take it, you got to be tested.
To have this job.
Right?
Right.
Then they're going to move to have this job, you're going to have to take it, or you're going to lose your job.
Well, you know what? There are certain jobs right now where you have to be vaccinated. You have to have had these shots.
Well,
that's been going on for, measles,
in
mumps,
general, you're talking.
rubella.
Well,
exactly.
in
polio, tetanus, all of those. You have to be vaccinated.
Yeah, for those across the board,
right.
You do that. But the argument right now is the argument. I'm ignoring you, Anthony. You're getting funny now. I'm ignoring, but the issue now. The argument now is that this is something that is not as proven as those vaccines have been, and people are uncomfortable about being forced to take something that there's not enough, in their opinion, experience out there yet for them to be comfortable with. And I can understand that.
They came up with a vaccination, fairly quickly.
Not fairly,
very fast.
Extremely quickly.
Okay, in comparison.
Because it was a new technology.
Because of technology,
right.
And because of the advancement of technology.
Right. So,
exactly.
So it was, and all those things have scared a lot of people, and they don't trust. They don't trust the scientists. They don't trust the government. Politics got in the middle of it.
Exactly.
And totally confused everybody.
And people of color are just not trusting
anybody.
Anybody.
None of y'all.
we ain't trusting too much right now.
On nobody's side. So, it's understandable that people are confused and people are hesitant and afraid. And yes, you do have to tolerate that because partly because the leaders are responsible for making that mess, right? And so it causes more confusion that you then have to go through. At the same time, you have an ongoing crisis here because people are dying. And so, like I said, if you choose not to take the virus, that is definitely not to take the virus, not to take the vaccine. That is definitely your choice.
We ain't taking the virus.
But if you ain't taking the virus, that's what they're afraid, they're giving you the virus. But,
really.
That's if you choose not to take it, then you need to be more accountable.
Right.
What's happening right now is people like, I ain't taking no vaccine and I don't care about no virus. And
exactly.
So I'm going to the beach and I'm going to movies,
to that concert.
And I'm going to concert and I don't care what nobody say about it. It's my right, right? You need to at least be considerate of the safety of others, if not of yourself. Yes. Our time is up. It's 9:04, and we came on at 8:04, so 8:05, so we're about there. So good conversation, as always. Thanks to all who are involved, and I appreciate all the opinions. It doesn't matter which side your opinion is on. our opinions are neither right or wrong. They're just opinions.
They're just opinions.
And so
It's just a
hopefully-
conversation.
Exactly.
We're just venting and talking and
right, letting
listening.
it loose, let it out. Right.
We want to hear what you have to say. It's no right or wrong.
Right.
We're conversating.
So we appreciate everybody being on. Hope that you enjoyed it. I do want to remind you again to go to our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and type in Conversations Pam and David, you will find the channel, Conversations Pam and David on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel. We need to get these subscribers up so that we get
Yes.
this out more, okay?
Yes,
So
yes.
thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your evening with us, and we enjoyed our evening with you, and are looking forward, of course, to being back together again in the future.
Yes.
By the way, just a reminder, we have our new, new little setup here that seems to be working out. So
Our home studio.
yeah, home studio keeps expanding. So I hope you enjoyed it. Listen, tomorrow we'll be back at 11:30 a.m. for our Sunday morning service on live stream. You can join us at the church if you're here in Rochester, 1405 Lowell Avenue, 11:30 a.m. Or you can join us from anywhere live stream at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Sermon tomorrow, put his name on it. Put his name on it. Put his name on it. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Put your name on it.
Not your name, his name.
Put his name.
His name
Put
is more
his
important
name.
than your name.
Yeah.
So,
Got your name.
got my name on it. All right, everybody. Before she gets started, y'all have a good night, and we will see you again next week. Don't forget to go to the YouTube channel. We'll see you, everybody. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.